Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki, Shri Shri Radha Sharad Bihari ki.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine
Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine
Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachayine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Pastakya Harine
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Jaya Shri Krishna Prabhu Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Parivrajakaacharya, Ashtottara Sutta Shri Manas Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Naam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Shyamkund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shamaveta Bhaktavrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. You, yeah. Namaste Narasimhaya.
Hare Krishna. Welcome, devotees who are joining us via Zoom, via YouTube. Thank you for attending our virtual Sunday Feast program. Thank you to Vishnu Gada Prabhu for leading us in this wonderful kirtan. I hope it was able to be heard by the devotees nicely at home. You're never too sure how it transmits over the internet platform, but here in the temple room, it was very ecstatic. We're going to continue our study of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in just a moment, but for those of you who weren't there when the DD doors just opened, we're going to do a quick darshan of Srila Prabhupada and their lordships. His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. Parama Karuna Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Ki. Their most beautiful lordship, Shri Shri Radha Sharad Bihari Ki. So at this point, we're going to transition over to our Bhagavad Gita study, which will be led by His Grace Vishnu Gada Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Time?
You are live.
We're live. Okay. Hopefully we're not dead. Yeah.
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी
गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी
यशोदानंदना ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदना ब्रज जनरंजन जमुना तीरा वनचारी जमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदना ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदना ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदा जमुना तीरा वनचारी जमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजक आचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत शिष्यमार डिवाइन ग्रेस AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय ISKCON फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय नाम आचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा Krishna, Gopa Gopinath, Shyam Kund, Radha Kund, Giri Govardhan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadip Mayapur Dham ki jai, Ganga Devi, Jumuna Devi, Tulsi Devi, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Gaur Prem Anande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hari Hari Bol. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna devotees. We're continuing with our study of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. First chapter. We had a dramatic reading of the first chapter. That was 2 days ago. Were you there? Okay. Oh, in the morning. Okay. Well, in the evening time, we did Bhakti Sean. There was Krishna. I did Sanjay. Different, but it made it lively, a little bit lively. So anyway, there's so many points in this first chapter, and we're trying to systematically go through. So I'm going to read the text 32 and 35, 32 through 35, and then we'll discuss a little bit some of the points there. Okay. But before we begin, we have to offer respects. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nicely chanted. And you know what that means, that chant? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. No? What does it mean? No. Oh, okay. Well, then we can, yeah. So sometimes, what's Krishna's father's name? Okay. And what's the author, the compiler of the Vedas name? Yes. So who are we offering respects to? Vasudev is the son of Vasudev. See, in Sanskrit, it's a big deal. The A, the long A or short A, can change the meaning. So Vasudev means the son of Vasudev. So we're paying our respects to Vasudev means Krishna. Vasudev would be his father. Okay. And Vyasadeva is another person. So this is all our respects. Om Namo, O Lord. Om Namo, obeisances. Bhagavate, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vasudevaya, the son of Vasudeva, Krishna. It's also, Vasudev is a name of Krishna also that indicates that he's the all-pervading person. That he's everywhere. Just like in the verse in Bhagavad Gita means, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavam mam prapadyate. After many births of trying to acquire knowledge by research or by speculation or by other methods, jnanavan, a person who actually has knowledge. Jnanavan means possessing. And Jnanavan, what do? Mam prapadyate. They surrender unto me. Vasudeva sarvamiti. They understand Vasudeva is everywhere and is everything. Sarvamiti. Samahatma sudulabha. That person is, that Mahatma is very rare. So the definition of Mahatma is someone who knows Krishna.
who actually knows Krishna. So other people might try to label themselves Mahatmas, but this is the definition Krishna gives, Mahatma. So some people, they speak, or they'll discuss Bhagavad Gita, but without Krishna. So then it's not of any real use. So, because it's said that one who knows Krishna knows everything. One who knows Krishna knows everything. And if you don't know Krishna, your understanding is not good. Just like if you have $1,000, you also have $5 and $10 and $20, right? Or when the sun is up, Krishna is like the sun. When the sun is up, then you can see everything clearly. But when it's dark, it's hard to see anything. You bump your head. So Krishna is like the sun. Okay. Anyway, so this is 32nd through 35th verse of chapter 1, Bhagavad Gita. And I'll chant it. I'm not going to chant it responsively because it's a little long. But we chanted this a couple days ago. It's a very nice verse. I like this verse. Kim no rajena govinda, kim bhoga jivitena va, jesham arte kankshitam no, rajam bhoga sukhani cha, ta imam vastita yudhe, pranams chaktva danani cha, acharya pitara putras, tathaiva cha pitamaha, matuli shashura pautra, Shyala sambhandinas tata etana hantumichchami ginotopi marusudana api trailokya rajyasya heto kim nu mahikrite nihatya datarastran kapriti syaj janardana. The Sanskrit. It's very nice to chant the Sanskrit because just the sound vibration is purifying. This is sound vibration that's vibrated or sent by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is so we usually chant that in Sanskrit. And here's the translation. O Govinda, of what avail to us, or what use to us, are a kingdom, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed on this battlefield. O Madhusudan, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. What pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Arjuna has addressed Lord Krishna as Govinda. You know the name Govinda? Govinda is one of Krishna's names. Krishna has many names, thousands and millions of names. But Govinda is a particular name that means he gives pleasure to cows, to cows, and also the land, and also the senses. By using this significant word, Arjuna indicates that Krishna should understand what will satisfy Arjuna's senses. Hey, you're Govinda. Oh, come on. What's going on here? But Govinda is not meant for satisfying our senses. If we try to satisfy the senses of Govinda, however, then automatically our own senses are satisfied. Materially, everyone wants to satisfy his senses, and he wants God to be the order supplier for such satisfaction. The Lord will satisfy the senses of the living entities as much as they deserve, but not to the extent that they may covet. You know the word covet? Covet. Get more than you need, yeah. But when one takes the opposite way, namely, when one tries to satisfy the senses of Govinda without desiring to satisfy one's own senses, then, this is kind of magical, by the grace of Govinda, all desires of the living entity are satisfied. Arjuna's deep affection for community and family members is exhibited here partly due to his natural compassion for them. He is therefore not prepared to fight. Everyone wants to show his opulence to friends and relatives. You got a new car, you have to show it. But Arjuna fears that all his relatives and friends will be killed on the battlefield, and he will be unable to share his opulence after victory. This is a typical calculation of material life. The transcendental life, however, is different. Since a devotee wants to satisfy the desires of the Lord, he can, Lord willing, accept all kinds of opulence for the service of the Lord. And if the Lord is not willing, he should not accept a farthing. Do you know what a farthing is? It's a little bit of English money. It's like you would say, in America, you'd say penny. Like a farthing is a little tiny bit of English money. A little bit. If the Lord not willing, not even a farthing. Arjuna did not want to kill his relatives, and if there were any need to kill them, he desired that Krishna kill them personally. At this point, he did not know that Krishna had already killed them before their coming into the battlefield, and that he was only to become an instrument for Krishna. This fact is disclosed in the following chapters. As a natural devotee of the Lord, Arjuna did not like to retaliate against his miscreant cousins and brothers, but it was the Lord's plan that they should all be killed. The devotee of the Lord does not retaliate against the wrongdoer, but the Lord does not tolerate any mischief done to the devotee by the miscreants. The Lord can excuse a person on his own account, but he excuses no one who has done harm to his devotees. Therefore, the Lord was determined to kill the miscreants, although Arjuna wanted to excuse them. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitang Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Shapanantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vas Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is kind of the high point of the first chapter. In the beginning of the first chapter, we've talked a little bit about that. We can just review briefly. What's happening? Dhritarashtra starts out talking, and he says, well, after assembling in the holy place of Kurukshetra, Dharmakshetra Kurukshetra, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do? And Srila Prabhupada makes a comment about that he sees that Dhritarashtra is very anxious that he's worried that maybe they'll come to some peaceful agreement and they won't fight. He's counting on, in the fight, that his sons will be victorious. That's his whole goal for this conspiracy, the intrigue that's been going on for years and years and years. So after all these things they've come to a head now. There's been peace talks, but they were rejected by his son. So now they've come to the battlefield, and he's worried that there's going to be some kind of agreement, so there won't be a fight. So Srila Prabhupada says it's a little bit ridiculous, the question. Just like if you say, oh, somebody sat down at the table and the meal was served, and then you say, well, what happened next? Well, what do you think happened next? They ate. So in this case, everybody's there assembled in the battlefield and looking to fight. So what's going to happen? Of course, well, they'll fight. Yes, but his mind is revealed by the question, because he's really anxious that his sons are going to defeat the Pandavas, and he's making this division between the Pandavas and his sons. Actually, the Pandavas were the rightful heirs to the kingdom. You know that. So in those days, the laws were such that the firstborn in the family got the first right of being the next leader, in the political leader. So we can argue about that. Maybe we don't like that, but that was the law at the time. It was accepted by everyone. Just like nowadays in the United States, in order to be president, it's a law that you have to be a citizen, and you have to be born in the United States, right? There was a famous movie star in California who was unhappy that, because he was born in Germany. He was born in Germany, that he wanted to be president, but he couldn't run for president because he was born in Germany. That's the law. And you might think that's not a fair law, but that's the law. It's respected by people. So in the same way, the law was, part one was the firstborn child would be the ruler. And there was another part of the law that if that person who was born as the first child was not properly functioning, such that they could not function in the capacity of a warrior, then that disqualifies them. So people may say, well, that's not fair to the people who have disabilities. Well, yeah, but you can see the importance of that, because where was Dhritarashtra at the time the battle was taking place? In the palace. He wasn't out there ready to fight, right? He wasn't there. So those were the laws. Those were the laws. The law was, okay, firstborn son, but if you're not the firstborn child, if you're not up to the task because of debilities, then the next day went to the next. So his brother Pandu became the king, but Pandu died early, untimely, when his sons, the 5 Pandavas, were still kids. So Dhritarashtra, at that time, when his brother, who was the king, so rightfully the kingdom was supposed to go to the sons, especially the firstborn, was Yudhishthira. But Dhritarashtra, in his mind, thought, well, okay, now's my chance. Now's my chance. The Pandu's sons are kids, and my sons can take over, even though it was illegal. But my sons can take over. This is called envy or jealousy. Some people, these two words, envy and jealousy. It usually means somebody has something that I want and I wish I had that. No, they have that something. Yeah. I looked this up because some people say there's a difference between envy and jealousy. And it was very interesting to look it up in the dictionary. And one place it said that, well, the difference between envy and jealousy is that jealousy has to do with 3 or more people, whereas envy is only between 2 people. That's one place said that. Another place said, well, envy is after you get jealous that somebody has stuff that you want. If you become angry or have enmity towards the person, that's envy. Did you follow? Anyway, but others it says it's a little bit synonymous. But another thing that was very interesting when I read the dictionary definition of envy, said that for someone to be non-envious is very, very rare in this world. The Merriam-Webster dictionary says that someone who's non-envious, there may be a few monks or saintly persons that have attained that, but that's very rare. It's because in the material world, all of us are here because of the influence of envy and jealousy. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita, that Icha dvesha samutena dvandva mohena bharata. That everybody in this world, we come here because we're envious of one another. And we want to take others, we want to have the property of others, and ultimately we want to have the Hare Krishna. We want to have the property of Krishna. So in this case, Dhritarashtra, being envious of his brother Pandu and the sons of Pandu because they were the rightful heirs to the throne, he was expressing his envy and made this conspiracy that his sons, he would try to make as many arrangements as he could for his sons to take over by hook or crook. By hook or crook. And does this kind of thing still go on in today? That by hook or crook, somebody's going to stay in power? Does that still go on? Yeah, you bet it does. It's still stuff, same kind of thing is going on. And it's because of envy and jealousy. But Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. This is said in the 9th chapter. He said, I'm teaching this Bhagavad Gita because you are never envious. So this Krishna consciousness movement, Srila Prabhupada says, is meant to teach us how to become non-envious. That is the purpose of this Krishna consciousness movement, because as long as we are envious, or it's another word for envious, matsarya. Have you ever heard that? Matsarya? Yeah. We remain anchored in the material world. So the first, the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, Shukadev Goswami Vyasadeva says, Dharma prochita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. That means the dharma that's being recommended, this kind of dharma, rejects all kinds of envious thoughts. And it's only understood by someone who's nirmatsarana, means free from envy in the heart. So, because as long as we have this jealousy, it anchors us to the material world. And we're talking here in this beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, we're talking about the government quarrels. These are individuals who are involved with government. So good government means to be able to secure, for the citizens, life and property, but not just for human beings, but for everybody. All beings that are born within the land that one is governing. For example, Maharaj Parikshit was a qualified king, and he was touring his kingdom. And when he came upon a person who was torturing a cow and a bull, what did he do? Yeah, he pulled out, he was ready to punish immediately. So because he sees the cow and the bull are also praja. So it's not that a government or a proper king or proper leader will only protect and nourish his people or his species or his party, his political party, but he has to be, or he or she has to be open to protect all citizens equally. And that's part of the understanding that's going to come in Bhagavad Gita. And how do we do that? How does somebody do that? They have to come to the spiritual platform. So Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna as a representative of all people and also all leaders, because without this understanding, they won't be able to be proper leaders. They'll be envious of one group or another group. They have to be. So Dhritarashtra specifically shows his position because he's envious of the the Pandavas. Therefore, that makes him not a qualified or a bona fide leader. Even so much so that even before this whole thing, when before the Pandavas there was an attempt on their lives when they were young men, probably around 18, 19. They were sent to a place called Varanavata. And just at that time, Lord Krishna visited his uncle in Mathura. So after Lord Krishna he had his childhood pastimes in Vrindavan. Then he went to, when he was about 12, he went to Mathura and stayed there for several years. And who brought him to Mathura, do you remember? Akrura. So when after he got there, shortly after he killed Kamsa, which is his relative, he killed Kamsa. And Akrura invited him to his house. And you know what Krishna said? He said, not now. Later, I'll come later. So the years went by. Finally, near the end of his stay in Mathura, Krishna went and visited the house of Akrura, and he said, I have a job for you. You know, Dhritarashtra is conspiring to give trouble to the Pandavas. You go there and tell him, I don't like this. He should stop this. So Akrura, as a good devotee of Krishna, he did that. He went to Hastinapur and he spoke to Dhritarashtra, and he told him, this business you're with you and your sons, there's this Duryodhana principle. Duryodhana principle is that a parent has a child and the child likes to test the limits, isn't it? They test the limits. They see how far they can get away with. So sometimes, unless the parent is very, very firm, the child knows that they can get away with more and more and more. And if they don't stop them right at the beginning, they'll become unmanageable. So that was Duryodhana. That's the Duryodhana principle. He can see how far he can get. He can get away with torturing the Pandavas and stuff. And Dhritarashtra, the father, even though he might have objected, his objections weren't firm, and there were no consequences. So Duryodhana continued to do that more and more and more. Like a kid throwing a temper tantrum, they do more and more. So anyway, Akrura told Dhritarashtra, don't, please stop this intrigue that you're doing, this conspiracy. And you know what Dhritarashtra said? That's out of my hands. It's fate. It's fate. I can't stop it. So even though he knew it was wrong, and he's told that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it doesn't like that. And he knew that. Still, he couldn't because of the envy and jealousy there within the heart. So it's a very, very, very dangerous thing. Just like a thief. A thief, they know something is wrong to do. It's against the law. They've seen people get punished, but still there's this push. They have to do it. And they're being arrested. Okay. So in Bengali, there's this expression, dekashuna. Dekashuna means they see it and they've heard it, but still they do. Dekashuna. I've heard it from others that if you break the law, you'll get punished. And I've seen it also. But even so, why is that called? That's called envy. That is called lust. Therefore, that's what happened. So how do we get free from this envy and jealousy? Well, it begins what we're doing now. We're considering hearing the message of Lord Krishna, because that message of Lord Krishna has the ability and the potency to cleanse the heart slowly, slowly from those envy and jealousy that we're all mired in. So another point in this beginning of the Bhagavad Gita is that Dhritarashtra is in the palace, and Sanjay, where's Sanjay? He's there in the palace too. And so it means they're far from the battlefield. So how is it that he's able to tell Dhritarashtra what's going on? He had his flat screen TV. No. How did he do it?
He had mystical powers.
Yeah, he got mystical powers by the grace of Vyasadeva, because he was a follower of Vyas. By the mercy of a spiritual master, even though he was in one place, he could see what was happening in another place, specifically for the purpose of teaching and hearing and chanting about the Bhagavad Gita, what Lord Krishna is saying. So this is very interesting. That's called, they sometimes call it Durdarshan. Have you heard that? Durdarshan. In English, they call it clairaudience, which means you can see what's happening in a distant place. But by the mercy of the spiritual master, this is possible for everybody. Because there are more than one dimensions in the world. Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham ridishani vishto matasmritir jnanam apohanam cha. He says, I'm situated within everybody's heart. He's in your heart. He's in my heart. But can you see? We're having difficulty seeing. But by the mercy of Krishna and the spiritual master, you'll be able to see. There's another dimension, it's called Vaikuntha, a parabyom that's going on. By the mercy of the spiritual master and Krishna, you'll be able to see what's going on in the spiritual world by proper engaging in devotional service. So that's what Sanjay had done. So that's very interesting. So then, after that introduction, Lord Krishna is asked by Arjuna, okay, you take my chariot in between these two armies. So why? It's a natural thing. Anytime there's going to be a organized fight, you want to see how things are set up. What's going to be the strategy, right? And he says, to see who's here to fight to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Duryodhana, that's Duryodhana. So he's even though he was the rightful heir, he's saying very closely, very carefully that it's, he understands that all these people are there. They're there only because Duryodhana's pushing them then. And he's very surprised, shocked to see on the other side so many dear people on the other side. Think about it. Because when Arjuna's father died, he had two surrogate fathers. Who were his two surrogate fathers after that? Bhishma and Drona. Drona was his teacher, and Bhishma was his very, very affectionate grandfather. And they had joined the other side. They joined him. They had joined the other side. His uncle, his maternal uncle, was on the other side against him. Why did they join the other side? How is it that they joined they've been tortured and persecuted by the Kauravas, and now all these family members are joined the other side. It's shocking. It's because of the influence of having a bad master. There was an experiment they did in Yale University. It's called the Stanley Milgram experiment. Have you ever heard of that? It's a very interesting experiment. What they did was they had a window into supposedly an experimental lab, and in the lab there was a chair, and a person could be strapped into the chair. And on the other side of the window, a person would be a volunteer. They would come in, and they were told by a person in a lab coat, okay, it's important for you. This is a learning experiment, and you'll be able to hear, there was some kind of microphone, you'll be able to hear, we'll say a list of words or syllables. You'll have a list of those. And the person who's learning supposed to learn them in the chair is supposed to repeat them exactly as they're said. And if they make a mistake, you're supposed to shock them. And there was a bunch of levers. Started out with, 10 watts, 20 watts, 50 watts, 100 watts, 1,000 watts, 10,000 watts, XXX, XXXXX, like that, a series of levers there. So anyway, actually the person who was sitting in the chair, on the other side of the window, was in on the whole thing, and there was no real electricity. But coming in, the person who was the subject, they would hear the person make a mistake, and then they would flip a lever. And the idea was that by punishment, the person was supposed to learn how to do it better next time. But they would keep making mistakes. And so the person would be told to keep flipping the levers, right? And all the way up to, maximum. Most people went to the maximum. So what does that tell you about nature, human nature? People usually do as is expected of them by authority. Yeah. So the authority had been Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. And so they're doing what's expected of them. And in our condition, we're put in situations sometimes by the boss or in the name of shareholders and modern corporations. So many nasty things are done. It is a fact. That is a fact. So the same kind of thing is going on with Bhishma and Drona. The reason they're taking the side of Duryodhana is because he's their boss. He's maintaining them. So they're thinking, well, we have to do this, even though if you think about it, they're siding with a person who's an attempted murderer several times. So, one has to be, and that's, if you don't do what your boss says, what's going to happen? You lose your job, right? You lose your job. So it's a very, very dangerous condition because you have to depend. So they'll lose their position if they don't follow. So, when Srila Prabhupada first went to London, there was a North Indian man, Sharma. He had a grocery store. And he invited Srila Prabhupada to his house, and that was one of the, he became initiated later. So Srila Prabhupada told him at the time, okay, if you want to be initiated, you still have to stop selling meat in your grocery store. Interesting. You gotta stop selling meat. So he did. He stopped. Yeah. So here's Arjuna. Arjuna is in he's in a dilemma now. All these people who is really, really loves, is dependent on, is grown up with, is attached to, affectionate with. They're there looking to fight with him. And he says, Krishna, what is the use of this fight? And he says, in this verse, he says, Kim bhogayar, Kim no rajena govinda, Kim bhogayar jivitena va. What's the use of this fight? I won't be happy. I won't be happy because all these people that I want to enjoy life with are not going to be around. It's a fight to the death. It's not just some kind of, it's a fight to the death. So he's using that yardstick of material happiness, use the yardstick of material happiness as the yardstick to guide his activity. How am I going to be happy from a material standpoint? Prahlad Maharaj said, Nate vidu svartagatim hi Vishnu. He said, people in general, Prahlad, 5-year-old boy, says, in general, people don't realize their real interest is to satisfy Vishnu. But Arjuna wasn't thinking that. He was thinking, I'm not going to be happy if I do this fight. I won't have fun. It won't be fun for me. So there's two kinds of happiness, and people in general don't think that there's two kinds of happiness. They think there's only one kind of happiness, and that's material life. Krishna describes that in Bhagavad Gita. Asatyam apratishtamte jagad ahuranishvara. There's no truth. There's no basis of anything. Jagad ahuranishvara. And in the universe, there's no God in control. Parasparam sambhutam kama haitukam. The only purpose in the world, kama haitukam, means the whole purpose of life is just to kama, satisfy our lusty desires or material desires. That's the general idea. But according to Bhagavad Gita, according to teachings of the Vedas, there's a different kind of happiness that's spiritual and transcendental to the happiness of this material world. Kim Bhogai, Arjuna is saying, how can I be happy? Well, there's a different kind of happiness, and that is Nayam deho deha bhajan viloke kastam kaman arhati vid bhujange tapo devyam putrakarena satvam shudyet tasmad brahmasokyam tanantam. This is Rishabh Davis teaching his sons. He says, don't, my dear sons, don't be just like the animals. Vid bhujan. Don't be just the animals. The purpose of human life, Nayam viloke, human life, is tapodu vyam putraka. Oh sons, the purpose of human life is to perform austerity. Austerity means you're not getting immediate happiness from the material body. There's some restriction. There's some, but by performing austerity, one becomes purified. Purified from what? Those material desires like matsarya, envy, lust, greed. Yeah. Brahma sokyam tvanantam. And by doing that, by becoming purified, then you'll get happiness that is unlimited. Ananta. Anta means end, and ananta means no end. So that is the important message for here in Bhagavad Gita, that there exists a kind of happiness that is unlimited, ananta. And human beings, you and I, have the opportunity to understand and appreciate and experience that happiness. How? By following Krishna's directions. Yeah. So Rupa Goswami said, quoting one of the gopis, said, my dear Krishna, if you have any inclination to enjoy material life, society, friendship, and love, then please do not see the boy named Govinda, who is standing in a three-curved way, smiling and skillfully playing on his flute, his lips brightened by the moonshine. Some people say, just like Arjuna, if I practice or take up the practice of Krishna consciousness, how will I be happy? I won't be able to eat anything I want. I won't be able to smoke ganja, isn't it? Yeah. I won't be able to go to the parties or the club. I won't be able to, so many things, yeah. But these happinesses are all on the material platform. They have a beginning and an end. And therefore, intelligent people, thoughtful people, don't put their stock in them. So this one mistake Arjuna is making right in the beginning, he's saying, he shows us, how will I be happy? Basing his happiness on the material platform. So it's just like if you make a mistake in the beginning of your mathematical calculation, all the other things are going to go wrong later. So then he doesn't just end there. He didn't say, I'll be happy. But then he shows his sensitivity by saying, listen, not only that, if we, it's sinful to kill family members. Now, anytime that there's a murder investigation, who do they look at first? Yeah, that's right. If it's a wife, they look at the husband. If the husband look at the wife, they check the insurance, right? Yeah, but it's against the rules. You're not supposed to kill your family members. Once in a while, people get really mad because a teacher will give them a bad grade or kick them out of school. And once in a while, they might try to kill the teacher. Well, according to the Vedic rules and the laws of Manu, that's sinful. Sin will overcome us. And if you kill your family members, it's especially heinous to kill your family members, right? Think about women, parents who kill their kids, it's especially heinous, or brothers killing their brothers, something. So then he also was worried that if the men in the opposing army are killed, then the family tradition will be lost. Cultural traditions will be lost, which are all meant to help people stay on the right path in their life. And know what else is going to happen? He said that there's going to be lots of orphans. There's going to be orphans running around, and orphans or unwanted kids. In the United States, they used to have orphanages, and didn't work out very well. Orphanages, usually the kids wound up pretty messed up. And so now, you know what they did instead in the United States? Yeah, they do adoption, but usually foster care, which is it's a complete disaster, foster care actually. But because kids, they're not getting the proper care. And so Arjuna, he wasn't looking just to, ordinarily people, they go into battle because they want to get some, they make a show of wanting to have, we're going to change the people's government and give them a Christian background or something. But the real thing is, usually people go into countries or leaders go into battle because they want to get stuff, 99% of the time. And they say, oh, we're gonna like a good example was, during the Spanish-American War, you know who the president was at that time? Well, William McKinley. So, they took over Cuba, Puerto Rico, and then there was the question of the Philippines. Because the Filipinos had been fighting a war of independence against the Spanish. So William McKinley, he thought, well, what should we do with the Philippines? So he went, he prayed, he got down on his knees and he prayed to God, tell me what to do. And he heard a message from God that said, you got to Christianize those people. You got to fight and Christianize them, take over. Well, he didn't realize that all of them were already Catholics. They're Catholics already. So what did they do? They went in and slaughtered the people. Hundreds and thousands of people they killed. In the name of, why? Because they wanted the natural resources there. But that's not what Arjuna is doing. Arjuna is saying, hey, I don't care about the kingdom. I don't want the kingdom. I don't want to have, so he's in this position. I don't want to kill my relatives. I don't want the kingdom. There's all these sinful reactions that are going to take place. Not only that, nowadays war means you have a war against the civilian population. At that time, it wasn't that way. But still, he's worried about the civilians saying, well, there's going to be all these, at the enemy camp, there's going to be so many orphans and people that are going to, it's going to develop a hellish condition. So therefore, Krishna, I don't want to fight. I give up. I'm not going to fight. That's it. This is Arjuna's dilemma. We're in this position of, just like Arjuna, sometimes we're put in such a position where we don't know what the best way to do things is. And at that point, it's important to be able to get good information, good direction from someone who's beyond the duality of material life, who can give us direction to do the best thing for our own self and for the world and for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's what we'll learn about in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Few announcements.
Okay.
Any questions?
There's only 5 or 6 people. Mother Ranka's there, but she doesn't answer questions anymore. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for listening and giving your attention. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Panchakarpatarubhishya, Kripasanubhishya, Patitnam Pavanabhyo, Vaishnava.
Hare Krishna. Thank you to Vishnu Gira Prabhu for taking us through the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, leading us up to the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. We look forward to what comes next. We hope that you are learning a lot from this Bhagavad Gita study online. I wanted to thank our Sunday Feast sponsor tonight. It is Krishna and Shushma Shaini on behalf of their anniversary. So we want to offer our blessings to them for a continued life together, serving Krishna. So please offer your blessings by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra one time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We also want to thank everybody that participated in our Gita Jayanti festival. It's the first year we had 3 different readings, one in Sanskrit, 2 in English, both morning, afternoon, and evening. I know many devotees actually came for all 3 of them. They made a full day out of it. Each reading is about 3 hours long, so a total of 9 to 10 hours devotees spent reading Srimad Bhagavad Gita. But all of you, we just want to say thank you for making it a very special day. Especially thanks to the children from the Sunday school who came out to read as well. All around a very wonderful display of devotion from our community. Coming up this week, we wanted to say that we have every morning, if you want to join us for Japa, we begin at 6:30, and then we have Srimad Bhagavatam class at 7:50. For New Year's Eve, there's been a lot of questions about what are we going to do for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Typically, that's a day when a lot of people want to come to the temple to cleanse themselves of the year that just happened and look forward and get the blessings of the Lord for the new year. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we are going to be unable to host a program here in the temple for New Year's Day and New Year's Eve. It's not responsible at this time to have any type of gathering. So we'll continue to do our programs over Zoom. Right now it is, we just want everybody to stay healthy and safe. So please stay with your loved ones. Read Bhagavad Gita, read Bhagavatam, chant Hare Krishna together. And there may be some activities that are planned that we can do online. And if so, those will come out later in the week. Also next Saturday, January 2nd is the disappearance day of His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, will have a program in the morning where we'll read some of his works and discuss his life. This will be done all virtually over Zoom. We also want to let everybody know about our Gita Jayanti, actually our Live to Give Bhagavad Gita campaign that's going on that included Gita Jayanti. Many of you have very generously sponsored Bhagavad Gitas to be distributed, either taking them yourself to distribute or donating them to the temple, in which we will distribute as part of our Hotel Gita ministry, our prison ministry, as well as our neighborhood distribution ministry. So this Live to Give campaign to bring the spiritual knowledge to a world that is suffering is going to continue to January 7th. We have a goal in Philadelphia of 216 Bhagavad Gitas. We are now up to close to, I believe, 170, with just a little under 2 weeks to go. So if you haven't participated or would like to continue to participate in sponsoring Bhagavad Gitas, we ask you to look within your heart and see what you can do. By doing this program, we're making a commitment as a temple to, even though it's a little difficult now during COVID, but to procure these books, so that after COVID ends, that we're going to go out and distribute this to the world. We're asking devotees to come up with creative ways in which they can find to distribute this transcendental knowledge to society. And when we asked this question on Gita Jayanti, the next day I got two people writing to me saying, we have some great ideas of how we can, in our local community, distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. So this level of enthusiasm we're looking to find from the devotees, from each and every one of you. We've all benefited tremendously from this Bhagavad Gita, and we want to not just keep it within ourselves, but be able to somehow give it to others. So with that, we will conclude today, and we're going to offer our respects and gratitude to Srila Prabhupada and to all the assembled devotees. Vanchakalpatarubhishcha kripasindhuvyeva patitanam pavanevyo vaishnavevyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.